Hello, my name is Benjamin Harris, and I've used the early intervention service in Psychosis. So I've had problems with my mental health since I was a teenager. Quite often I'd be anxious. I wouldn't be able to look people in the eye without going bright red. I also had the belief that people could read my thoughts, and this would really cause me a lot of anxiety, and I'd find that I'd have to almost doctor my thoughts and berate myself for having certain thoughts and negative thoughts about people. I'd also experience periods of low mood as well. So when I was in my early 20s, I went to visit my GP, and I explained that I was feeling low and I had problems with my mental health. And my doctor then said that people my age don't tend to get depression. It tends to be people in their middle years. And I kind of nodded and agreed and walked away, but I actually felt a little bit disillusioned as I still had these problems with my mental health. So I decided, subconsciously in a way, that I had to, I suppose, develop a different personality and actually wear a bit of a mask to hide these things that I was experiencing. So for quite a long time I wore a mask and I did quite well at wearing that. But then when I got into my early 30s, I started struggling again. I was working quite a lot in two different jobs. I was working in a wine bar in the evening, and in the daytime I was doing acting work as a medical role player. So one day in medical role play, I was playing a patient who was depressed, and I actually started finding myself halfway through the day uncontrollably crying, and this went on for hours and hours. And by the end of that day, the person that I was working with said, "Wow, you're a good actor, you've really kept that up." And I said, "Well, actually that's how I'm feeling, to be honest with you." And she said, "Well, maybe you should go and see somebody and get some help." So I went to see my GP, and he thought that something wasn't quite right, and he prescribed me some medication, referred me for some talking therapy, but that wouldn't start for quite a long time. So I went back to work, and like before, I was doing a lot of hours, probably 16 hours a day. I was feeling very, very tired. I was getting migraines that were sort of putting me out of action for a couple of days, and I was starting to feel very, very depressed. And the longer the weeks went on, the worse I got, and it got to a point where I was actually feeling suicidal. I felt like I couldn't take much more. I was seeing things that weren't there. Just to give you an example, I once looked at a lollipop lady, and my dad's head was on her body, which really, disturbed me at the time. I was seeing things, in newspapers, on billboards, maybe on the television, that weren't there. I felt like that there were messages being given to me. All of this, I think, made me feel that the world just wasn't real. I felt that I was very detached from reality, and I almost felt like I had to remove myself from it in order to wake up to the real world. So very, very frightening experiences looking back. And disturbing, and really contributed to my mood as well, being quite low. So it just shows really how powerful psychosis can be. And then I got referred to the crisis team, and I very, very quickly found myself in hospital. And then I was in hospital for a couple of months, which actually did help quite a lot, because it sort of dampened down the thoughts of suicide, and it did calm me down. I was prescribed with antipsychotics, which did calm me down as well. But then I got referred to the early intervention team in Psychosis. When I was referred to the early intervention team, I had an assessment, and they determined that it was suitable that I was under them. So I then saw a care coordinator not long after, and that was really good, having a care coordinator, having somebody coordinate my care, if you like. And through them, I got to see the doctor, Dr. Stevens, and Dr. Stevens prescribed me with some medication. I then got to see a support worker, and through the support worker I'd start going out for coffees each week, and then going on a walking group as well. The walking group was great because I got to meet other people going through similar experiences. It got me out the house. I was just chatting with people, and that really helped. It helped break up my day and break up my week, and it was something to look forward to as well. My care coordinator I was seeing every couple of weeks, and I'd meet up with them either in the house or we'd go out for a coffee somewhere and a walk, depending on the weather. And that was really nice, and that was something else that I look forward to. It gave me a little bit of hope. And then what happened after that was I started some therapy. I had 2 rounds of therapy. I had a round of cognitive behavioural therapy with a lovely therapist. And then sometime afterwards, I had a year's worth of therapy, which was called cognitive analytic therapy, which was fantastic. So the cognitive analytic therapy really helped me with my self-harm, which was something that I'd been struggling with for a while. And it really helped me to think about, why I was thinking the way that I was, why I was maybe resorting to self-harm. And we looked in great detail. We sort of rolled up our sleeves and looked at, the patterns of thinking and thoughts and emotions and that kind of thing. It also helped me to reflect on my childhood and, where maybe I'd sort of picked up patterns of thinking. So that was fantastic, and it increased my confidence. It built up my self-esteem, and it was during this time that my support worker then introduced me to the life rooms. Now, the first time I went to the life rooms, it wasn't actually the life rooms, it was the Fact Cinema in town, and it was with a film group. And the idea was that you go along to the film group and you'd watch something. You'd vote on what film to watch out of a choice of about 4 films. And then afterwards, you'd kind of talk about it, give it a little critique. Well, the first few times that I went, I couldn't say a word. I was so anxious. But then after a few times, my confidence started building up a little bit, and I started getting involved. And I felt, that my confidence was really building. And then I sort of plucked up the nerve to actually visit the life rooms in Walton. And when I first went there, I was kind of taken back really by how welcoming the place was and how bright it was. I found it really refreshing that people were being open about their own experiences in the sessions. I also found it a revelation that some of the staff themselves had lived experience, and they were kind of sharing that too in the sessions. So I'd go there and I'd attend things like managing anxiety and understanding depression and that kind of thing. And I did that for a good while, probably a year, and that really did build up my self-esteem and my confidence. And I noticed my mood was picking up over time. So the therapy with the early intervention team, the medication that I was on, and the stuff that I was doing with the life rooms, all was empowering me to get better and to believe that I could actually maybe do something more. So after a while, I kind of toyed with the idea of volunteering, and then I became a volunteer at the life rooms. My care team at Early Interventions were really encouraging me to do this as well. They thought that I was ready. And at first, I just did the meet and greet shift, which was once a week, where I just welcome people into the life rooms. Maybe have just a little coffee with them, and I sort of look after the library in the Walton and help people on the IT using the computers. And again, this gave me a bit of structure to my week as well, gave me some confidence. And then it went from there, doing more and more different volunteering roles. I started sharing my experience, lived experience at corporate staff inductions. So people just coming to work for the life rooms for the first time. And for Merseycare, I talked to them about where I'd come from. And I started sitting on different committees as a service user representative. So the experience of being a service user representative on all these committees was really empowering. And it gave me the faith, really, that I could do more. And I'd come a long way. I'd come from a position where, I was experiencing quite acute psychotic symptoms, to the point where I didn't think the world was real, and that I thought that I had to take my own life to wake up to the real world, because because of this experience, if you like. Being in a place where I could see things that weren't really there. And now I was in a position where I was not only volunteering, but I was contemplating actual work. And a job became available as a support worker, participation support worker, which I went for and I got. And I just went from strength to strength, really. This was a part-time job. But after a year or so of doing that, I then applied for a job as a learning facilitator at the Life Rooms, which is where I am now. And I find that my lived experience does offer a relatability to people that come through the door, because I've been there, I've been exactly where they are right now. And I just hope that it provides some inspiration, really, and some hope to people. And it's a privilege to do what I do. I really, enjoy my job. I enjoy seeing the difference that we can make as a service. Seeing people come through the door that, are feeling very low, feeling very anxious, and then they leave with a bit of a smile on their face and, with a bit of hope as well. So I'm very lucky to be where I am.